something. Sounds like that's something you don't want to get.
Yeah. I'm gonna get out to Boston and get it. Be stuck in a hotel with a cold. Don't mind the audience.
What's that?
Don't mind the audience.
Yeah, I was gonna say, my goodness. Like, did we move it again and we lost it or something?
Oh, maybe they're all over at the police station. She originally booked it over there.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
And she goes, well, the communications is meeting. And I said, no, that's next week.
Yeah, because to be honest, it threw me for a she goes, oh, no, it's good. I had marked my calendar the 29th.
Yeah.
I guess I screwed that up.
I thought I screwed. You ready? All right. You ready?
I am.
All right. Welcome everyone to the Town of Brookfield Select Board meeting Thursday, January 23rd. Please stand to pledge the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed. Reminder, a winter parking ban is effective through April 1st. There shall be no parking on any streets between the hours of 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. Vehicles in violation will be ticketed and towed at the owner's expense. Also, snow or ice removal removed from sidewalks, driveways, or private property shall not be plowed, shoveled, or blown across any public way, street, or roadway. Also would like to congratulate the fire department on being awarded a grant in the amount of $8,124.39 in FY25 funding from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security and the Department of Fire Services for the Firefighter Safety Grant Program.
I have one announcement.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I want to bring the board up to speed. The police station is now about 70% complete with the students from Tantascwa and the assistance of Tim Segan with the carpentry program. So we're making great progress.
Great.
Thank you for taking that on.
Yep.
Wasn't something I wanted.
And Mr. Chair, also just like to announce that Kyle Roskowski has accepted the offer letter and the starting wage in which Mr. Chafee and I had negotiated with him earlier this week. We have the paperwork signed, sealed, and it is now delivered. So he will be starting on February 6th.
Great.
I think I was more generous than Ron.
I can attest to that. There's a couple times I almost, if I wasn't so short, I was going to kick him under the table.
Did you give the house away?
No, I think we got a great deal.
Okay, there you go.
I agree. I believe Mr. Rakowski is going to be worth every penny we pay him.
Okay.
You care to share with the townspeople what his pay is?
I want to say 42.37 or 43.
43.27 is sticking out of my mind.
43, 'cause I thought I saw 43.
43.27 per hour.
How much?
$43.27, we believe, per hour.
Where did 27 cents come in?
Well, if you
That was
do,
some real hard negotiating.
he wanted 30 cents, but Rich and I talked him down to 27. Now, if you do the math, it'll come out to be more or less $90,000 per year.
Okay.
Signed warrants. You wanna read those out?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. For FY 25-15, the accounts payable warrant is in the amount of $758,308.16. And for the FY 25-15 payroll warrant is in the amount of $202,008.80.
All right. And volunteer worker policy for highway and snow and ice.
Yeah, and I believe you should see there was kind of a late addition into the packet.
Yep.
I took a stab at a draft, and by all means, this is clearly marked draft. This is just kind of a first whack at it, but I wanted to at least have something. Obviously, at this point, if the board would like to add, delete, subtract, modify, by all means, a good opportunity to do it. Or if you'd like, we could certainly have you guys think about it over the next week or two until the next meeting.
I would like to put it in place as soon as possible, so I have a couple changes that I'd like to put in there while we're under the interim highway superintendent. I know the highway committee has been volunteering to take the old skating rink down on Pine Lane, is it, or is Hobbs Ave? How?
Yeah,
Usually
but,
for that type of work, that would come to the select board anyway.
and this is actually for snow and ice.
Oh, this is just snow and ice?
This is
Okay.
snow and ice only.
Okay.
For snow and ice,
Okay.
anything like that rink typically has to come through us. Even when the highway's gonna do it, they typically
Okay.
notify us and get authorization to do that type of work. It's outside their normal scope.
Okay, because I also volunteered to bring a machine down there to help out, so,
Do you want to?
but maybe we shouldn't talk about that, but that'll be next
Next
week.
week, yeah.
So where it's specific for snow and ice, you're absolutely right, so.
Let me just make a note so I can get it on the next agenda.
Should we do something like this for other volunteer with the highway?
Yeah, I was actually thinking that, probably.
In fact, that's what I was thinking, is maybe this is our first bite at the apple.
Yeah.
And then we can build upon this for other volunteer work.
But with the similar wording.
Exactly, yes.
So just in case we have a snow event before we have this finalized, it looks really good to me.
So the only thing that I would change, I know this is just a nitpick. Okay, so I'm gonna raise my hand and just say it's totally a nit. That in 7 where it says volunteers will be covered for property, damage, et cetera, performs if they're assigned work, I would say agreed upon work, because there may be times when it's not so much that the highway superintendent is assigning the work as it is that they're authorizing the individual to do work that they brought forward. So I think that verbiage would be more appropriate.
Can you do assigned or agreed?
Sure. They're assigned or agreed upon work.
Because it might be a volunteer saying, hey, I'll help out, but they don't have a specific. They're taking.
No, I
yeah.
agree, yeah.
Oh,
Yep, thank you. So I would just say they're assigned or agreed upon work, right? And any place that it says assigned, just put assigned / agreed upon.
I agree, I think that's a good modification.
But I mean, other than that, I think this at least scratches the itch to cover us enough until we come up with something better or
Yeah.
something.
well, and we
that's
can at
revised.
least do it, and we can always edit it.
We can
and amend it.
amend it.
Right.
Amend it.
And that's what my
Revise it.
motion was going to
Right,
be.
yeah.
If you notice in the footer, I do have adopted by the select board and
And amended.
amended.
Fair enough. So did you want to make that motion?
Go ahead, Beth, and I'll
Okay, I'll make a
second it.
motion that we accept it with the edits as discussed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Part-time highway worker wages, Herb Chafee. Do you want to take lead on it?
Yeah, just to kind of refresh everyone's memory, last week we did actually discuss, I guess in decent amount of detail, not only the hiring of Herb Chafee to be a seasonal worker for that 8 to 10 week period. And we probably got to the point where we had our toes, if not over the line, then certainly on the line. And we reached a point where it seemed as if there was a consensus that $30 an hour seemed to be fair and right. but I don't think anyone was comfortable actually taking it to that next step to actually approve that. So that's what we're going to hopefully address tonight, as to whether or not the board does agree that the $30 an hour is correct, and actually approve that particular rate. And in discussions, subsequent discussions with Mr. Chafee, he had indicated that he was uncomfortable actually starting to perform the work until there was a rate assigned to it and everything was, there was full closure, so to speak.
So the one thing I know, the licensing, there's been a little pushback about hiring him. I saw some stuff on social media. But the one thing I want to make clear, the difference between paying Herb Chafee as a part-timer a higher wage than the existing for that position is the amount of experience, the amount of licensing. The part-timers that we have now have Class D licenses. I believe Herb Chafee has a Class A, but it could be as little as a B, but that would put him in any vehicle down there, as well as any machine that's down there. He is duly licensed to run. So I felt very comfortable supporting the $30 an hour rate.
What did we vote for the snow and ice drivers, just the Class B drivers?
That was just the Class B for snow and ice was 30.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
I thought it could have fallen under that, but
I think it's at least consistent
Yeah.
from that standpoint. I know we have seasonals that don't make that money, but as much as, so everybody write it down in your calendar. I agree with Rich. I don't think anybody doubts that Herb has all of the certifications to run everything, plus he was responsible for rebuilding half of the stuff that's down there. So if we needed some mechanicking, we likely could get some of it at that rate, and at that rate, it's a bargain. So,
it is.
So again, write it down in the calendar. I'll make a motion that we pay Herb $30 an hour for seasonal work.
Second.
So for discussion, I just have more of a question. So if he's, I don't know when he's gonna start, but like, do we have an idea of what he's gonna start working on, or?
So I actually
or
talked to
like
him.
how many
I
days?
talked to him a couple days
Oh, okay.
ago.
I haven't
I
talked to him
talked
at
to him
all.
today, and the one thing that we want to get rid, so the weather was too cold to actually get out and do
Well,
some
and that was
stuff
kind
we
of what I
wanted.
was getting
Yeah.
at. Yeah.
So he said if Damien worked with him on Monday, he would start on the catch basin truck. And then there's a bunch of fittings and hoses that could be changed. He didn't think that we had all the fittings in the bin. We have a hose machine, a hydraulic hose machine to make our own hoses. And it's probably 40% of the cost of going to purchase them. So it's a great, and he put that in place. So I think it's a great opportunity for him to go in there, take an inventory, get that loaded back up so that we can continue to make the hoses for the backhoe, the loader, the catch basin truck, and have them get started. He would like to have an assistant with him. He would like to use Damien, who's on the fire department with him, that works part-time down there. His only concern was that he was told there was no money in the budget when he went down to pay him. And I'll let you take over. from
Yeah, I was
there
gonna
on.
say, Ron and I talked about
Yeah,
this.
Brad and I talked about that. Lindsay had expressed concern, because she said she was getting very, very tight on her seasonal wage number, and it started to exceed it. My belief was, yes, that is something that could be deficit spent and then corrected, for lack of a better term, after the fact.
Any wage account can be deficit
Yes.
spent.
And
Now, typically, you only do it if there is funds within the department,
Right, exactly, because
Right.
you can do
And-
transfers.
And it's ample.
right? And there's ample funding because of the fact that we're not full up on full-time laborers.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we could, if you wanted, I could pull up the damn sheet that Lori sends out on a monthly basis, but I don't need to do that to know that there's enough
More.
budget to pay for it.
And I went right to the horse's mouth. I asked the town accountant, and she said yes.
She said the same thing.
Yep, absolutely. She said, plenty of room, don't worry about it. She said, just bring me the transfers, maybe in a couple months.
Yeah, Lori and I don't always agree on all approaches, but on the raw details of some of this stuff, it's pretty straightforward.
So the one concern Herb had is actually how is he to be scheduled And I told him that I would ask this evening if I have permission to have him go on a daily basis, report back to me. He thought there was some pushback by going down there, so he's kind of concerned on how to proceed. So I told him I would address it this evening.
Well, I mean, because when he talked to me, and maybe it was more recent, because when he talked to me, actually, he said he was surprisingly welcomed by folks he had expected to have more of a challenge with.
Yeah.
So is he asking that you show up when he shows up? Or is he, what is he
No,
looking for? 'Cause
he
I mean,
requested that Damien work with him.
Yeah?
So I thought that was a great thing. But as far as scheduling him, does he have the freedom to come and go? Or should we ask Lindsay to call him? Or how would you like to?
So I thought the biggest challenge was that he, and I know it's slow season for his day job, right?
Mhm.
But he does have another employer, so can he just tell us the week prior what days he's gonna be available and if he has already coordinated for the other seasonal to be with him or not?
I think he could do that, sure.
Yeah,
But
just like-
but he said that he would like to start Monday, so.
Okay, so I was gonna say if he could let us know by Thursday if he's gonna be working,
Okay.
so did he tell you what, besides Monday, what days he might be available?
I thought it was pretty much the week.
Okay.
His work is slowed.
Yeah,
So unless they have an emergency situation, he'll be able to go there 5 days a week.
Well, and it's not, so my question is, and it's not so much Herb, but also Damien, I mean, how many hours are they,
we're fine until they hit 900 hours.
Yeah.
oh, so just let them go 40 hours a week and,
They
I
can
mean,
go-
if they can?
If they can, they can go 40
Yeah.
hours a week, they just can't
Yeah.
work over 900 hours and still be
Right.
considered seasonal.
Right,
So at least,
okay.
that's, the last I checked labor law in the state of Massachusetts. It might be 800 for municipalities, so could you check on that?
Yeah, I could double check
I
on that.
think that, well, Damien
I
might.
know my recollection is 20 hours a week for a 6-month period, so, but that might be.
That definition is not in our bylaw.
Okay.
The way that it's
But he-
phrased, the way that it's phrased in our bylaw is full-time is 32 and above, 19 hours and above is part-time regular, and benefit eligible. And then under 19 hours is not benefit eligible, but it can still be considered part-time regular. And seasonal is its own thing that has zero definition to it other than seasonal.
Okay.
The problem we run into is when we start getting into state labor laws, which I know from having been a very seasonal employer at one point back a decade or so ago, that if they went over 900 hours, they were considered regular employees. The only thing is that sometimes municipalities have different thresholds, so we may want to check it.
Sure. So I don't think we'll fall into that with her, but if Damien stays on for the long
We're
term,
gonna be
he might.
careful.
Right.
We're gonna have to be careful and manage it.
Yeah.
In Lindsay and I, and well, when I met with Herb and Lindsay on Tuesday morning, a couple things. One, there's definitely agreement that probably a primary responsibility and task for Herb would be to prep Gay Road. Everyone was in agreement with that. Obviously, everyone was in agreement except for Mother Nature, but that ultimately will be his number one priority. But also, I personally believe there's a lot of benefit with having Damien work with Herb, just to gain some of that knowledge just through osmosis. And I think it could, when Herb eventually leaves after 8 weeks or however long, that knowledge will stay with Damien. And I think Damien will be that much more valuable to the town.
And I think one of the things that they were gonna work on together is marking the, not just, in some instances, cleaning out the catch basins, but also marking the catch basins, right?
Correct.
That,
So-
we may have lost that opportunity with this last cold snap,
With the snow.
but we may not. So,
Yeah. Well, it depends. I mean, it
yeah.
can warm right back up.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, so.
Oh, and I know I've talked to Herb in the past, but that culvert up by me, I think he can
Clearing that out.
figure it
That'd
out.
be another thing for him to do.
Right,
He does have his eye on that.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He had his eye on it before. And then not a, not to discuss today, but probably for a future agenda, and it probably might have should have been on this one, was last week we talked about just the wages in general.
Correct.
Did we want to revisit that for next week?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But did you
if the
do more
survey is
research?
done.
Yeah, right, yeah. How are we for,
We've had a little bit of success. We have been able to add Brookfield, Spencer, Holland, and Wales over the last week or so.
okay.
What about Warren? Is that on?
Warren, no, unfortunately, if I remember correctly, Warren is actually going through a similar process and changing. So they said they basically would defer until they've got their situation squared away.
Okay.
Right. Back to this. So, did we already make the motion for the 30?
Yep.
Motion and
Seconded, we
seconded.
talked.
Oh, and
Call for a
then
vote.
discussion, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Request to use Town Hall Tip Top Co-op on 322.
Before I was a selectman, I sat in a meeting when you guys were talking about having a policy. Did you guys ever put a policy in place for the use of the building?
No.
No, and I think we just kind of went ahead and, I think they've asked for this before, and we just,
I don't have a problem
Yeah,
with it.
yeah.
I just wanted to know if there was a policy, that's all.
No. Not that I'm aware
not that
of.
I'm aware of.
If there is one, it hasn't been revisited in 6, 7, 8 years.
Okay.
And I believe at one point, I think the prior chair had looked into it and we didn't have a policy, and that's one of the reasons why I was thinking about
Okay,
it.
so I just happened to be at a meeting when you were discussing it. I didn't know, I didn't follow
Yeah.
up on it, so, but I'll make a motion that we allow Tip Top use the building, and I'll even come in and open up the building if they need, or close it
I
if
live
you're not
next door.
available.
It's usually,
I usually
I'm just
take
throwing it
care
out
of
there,
it.
but if you do,
Yeah.
have at it.
If I have a conflict,
Okay.
I think the one time I was here and I could open, but I wasn't available to close, but Pete Martell came over and
Perfect.
closed, so.
Okay.
Yeah, Rich, don't push it. Beth thinks that's part of her responsibility. So.
I don't want to take that away.
You're doing enough. I can sacrifice, 10 minutes on a Saturday to come open the town
Fair
hall.
enough.
So. All right, so I'll make a, so did you,
I
was that a
did make the
motion?
motion.
Second?
any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to speak.
Sure.
Dave Holcraft, Allen Road. You're not making this clear what's, and it says regular. Now, does that mean it's going to be in a regular, what's going to be going on here in the town hall through Tip Top? Or any other company or whatever? What's going on?
So specifically, they asked to reserve the town hall for a Tip Top Co-op member meeting.
So it's like the board
It's-
of their co-op, I think.
Well, it's
Yeah,
everybody.
all the members of the co-op.
Anyone that has opted into the co-op can come hear what the state of everything is and, voice their opinion on decisions, that sort of thing, what they're gonna be doing going forward. So-
What's regular mean on the agenda here?
It says,
It says that
we
they-
plan to meet every other month.
Yeah,
We
every-
prefer to use the town hall if it's available for our meetings.
So other people could you also use this hall then if they go through you
Other
guys?
people already.
Yeah, I know, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
Yeah,
Yeah.
It would-
absolutely.
it'd be on-
We had one person who was gonna do gun safety classes that never did it, that we gave authorization to use the town hall. There's been a couple of other events, like community-based events, like,
Didn't the Boy Scouts?
yeah, I
over the
think,
years, like-
I think a couple of times we've opened it up for the scouts.
I know people requested to be married here.
Yeah,
Jesus. Okay, that answered my questions.
yeah. So it's.
Does the alcoholic people still vote meeting here on Sundays?
Yeah,
They are meeting here still? Oh, okay.
they still here on Sundays.
Oh, they are, okay. I didn't know if they were still doing that.
Yep.
Is that the same group that meets on the Common
I'm not
in the
sure.
I
summertime?
know that is AA over there. yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
not
But I don't know if
sure
it's the same group.
Yeah. All right, well, that's cool. All right, thanks.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. open meeting law violation response for 12/21/24. And that's for all.
Hey, Frank.
Yep, there was
Frank, can I
for
make a
3.
point of order, please?
Well, can you wait 1 minute?
Don't interrupt.
It has to do with the audio. It says.
Oh, yeah. So the audio, we know that's an issue. Jacob knows it. He screwed up something with the line. He's gonna fix it. He's got it.
I have a solution that I'd like to raise as the point.
Yeah.
All right, so is there any way that, I know that you guys, your standard protocols have Ron read the response. The audio on the YouTube channel is like perfect. So could you guys like do your response reading, and then that way there's 30 seconds delay. So that way there I can listen to the YouTube audio, and then you guys can do those other 2 items on your agenda and then come back to it. That way there I can hear it uninterrupted and unchoppy.
Yeah. I think that's fine.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
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 I'll make a motion to,
I don't think you need to make a motion.
okay.
No, we'll just have Ron read it and then we'll,
We'll give him an opportunity to speak
Right.
before we adjourn.
Okay.
yep.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Do you want me to read it now?
Sure.
Sure.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay, and once again, just kind of refresh everyone's memory, we have 3 open meeting law complaints or violation complaints that are all very, very similar in their nature, and as such, each of the 3 responses, and they're all for that basically that same, that the response is basically the same in all 3 cases. So the response is, Dear Mr. Kelleher, as you are aware, the Town of Brookfield Select Board is in receipt of an open meeting law complaint from you dated December 21, 2024. This complaint was discussed in an open session meeting of the Select Board on January 9, 2025. The Select Board authorized me as Town Administrator to send a response on its behalf to memorialize the discussions that occurred during the January 9, 2025 meeting. Your complaint alleges the following open meeting law violations. 1, a Select Board member interrupted you during your 2-minute public commentary period. 2, the aforementioned interruption was disruptive, singled you out for different treatment, and has reoccurred during 2 subsequent Select Board meetings. With respect to the alleged Select Board member interrupting you during your 2-minute public commentary period, Mr. Chafee states that his brief and relatively quiet reminder to the Chair to time your comments was intended to remind the Chair to enforce the Board's public commentary policy and in no way was intended to interrupt or distract you. As stated in previous open meeting law responses, the Board has pledged to assist each other in the fair and strict enforcement of the public commentary policy so as to ensure that all meeting attendees have the same opportunity to voice their comments to the Board. With regards to the alleged interruptions being disruptive and singling you out for different treatment, Mr. Chafee has stated that his brief reminders are in keeping with the Board's pledge to assist each other in the fairly applying the public commentary policy. He also pointed out that his brief and quiet reminder to the Chair may appear to be different treatment to you, but it is appropriate because of the fact that your remote participation as a result of your ADA accommodations request is in fact different from the usual quote-unquote in-person audience participation, and he wants to ensure that remote participants are also afforded the same 2-minute commentary period that quote-unquote in-person attendees are granted. Also, as stated in previous open meeting law responses, the Board acknowledges that there is a learning curve for all of us as we become more familiar with the efficient operations of remote participation in hybrid meetings. As such, the Board requests audience patience and cooperation during this learning period. As always, the Board welcomes any and all suggestions on how to improve operations of these new hybrid meetings. We sincerely hope that these explanations address your concerns, and we pledge to keep to the high standards of open meeting law transparency that the citizens of Brookfield should expect from its town officials. Sincerely, Ronald E. Aponte, Town Administrator.
So we'll skip on to the next items here. Or unless you
Yep,
guys
no,
have
that
any.
makes perfect sense. So I'll make a motion that we endorse the Master Police Union contract for the New England Police Benevolent Association.
I'll second that.
And we actually only need 2 copies signed. Obviously, one for the town and one for the union.
Are there 2 in his? or do
I
we need one in
believe
each?
Karen put one in each of your packets. Yes, and
Thanks. I usually bring a pen
and once again, this is,
Did we vote that?
I seconded the motion.
yeah, technically.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And once again, this is just the master copy. This is taking the memorandum of understanding that we had signed, well, at this point, probably several months ago, and just incorporating into the master contract, so we have a jumping off point for our next negotiations.
We need to start again, right?
Soon, very soon. I warned Sergeant Marino and Officer Murphy, they'll be seeing a lot more of me soon.
There you go. Another copy.
I put it back in here. I usually give
Yep, you
everything
just,
over.
yeah, just,
And so we're all set with that one?
yes, we should be.
All right, and then Chris, were you all set? Did I just see?
That's a thumbs up in the
Yeah.
pixelation there.
Yeah, I heard the letter. Whenever you're ready to let me speak, let me know.
We're ready?
Yep. I'd
Yeah,
say so.
yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Well, I'd like to start off by thanking the board for taking this open meeting law complaint in open session and not doing it behind closed doors. I'm grateful for that. So I think transparency is important to our governance. I am disappointed with the response. I'll have to tell you that. I am disappointed because I find it really troubling that open meeting law complaints, there's no, like, hey, you know what, we screwed up, we made a mistake, we're gonna do this to make sure it doesn't happen again. But instead, the town of Brookfield amongst its boards will have combative or dismissive or just not really addressing the issue. I mean, come on, are we really trying to sit there and say that Mr. Shafee was trying to afford me the opportunity to speak for 2 minutes? Please show me any meeting that the select board cuts somebody off for 90 seconds in, that they weren't afforded their full 2 minutes. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And I mean, it happened in 3 consecutive meetings. And everybody knows that me and Shafee don't get along. That's not a secret. You know, he didn't do it to anybody else. You know, why can't we just take responsibility and say, you know what? Yeah, I'm human. I don't like you. I made a mistake. I won't do it again. I mean, why can't there be like true accountability? You know, if there was, there would be less complaints about open meeting law complaints. Because what this does, it makes the citizen feel demarginalized and like their complaint wasn't taken serious. If you were honest from the get-go, it would have the opposite effect of it says, okay, fine, they heard me, they're going to take corrective action, it's not going to happen again, and it would prevent further complaints from happening. I just really wish we could take a different tack on these open meeting law complaints. I really do. Thank you.
I want to respond. All set? Chris, you're absolutely right. I don't like you. I'll be the first to admit it. But when you're off topic, and I fought hard to have public comment for this board because there was no public comment before I became a selectman. I've come in front of the previous board to ask to speak, and I've not been allowed to speak. So I fought hard for residents of Brookfield to speak. But I thought it was very important to speak regarding the topics that were on the agenda. You clearly don't think it's important to stay on task. You try to use your opportunity to badger me, and you can try, but I'm not going to tolerate it when we have a strict policy. So in regards to you speaking off topic, I'm going to speak up every single time about it. And I'm going to be fully transparent about that.
I do hope, though, when other people go off topic, Mr. Chafee.
I will certainly.
You'll police similarly, because.
I certainly will.
You know, was Mr. Kelleher a little bit off topic, potentially? Was he the only
A
person?
little bit? He wasn't even on any topic.
Okay, but has he been the only person that's been off topic, or?
I'm not paying this, I'm fairly new at this, and I didn't pay as close attention to others, but I'm going to make it an effort to do that, absolutely.
I'll be interested.
And I'll make sure of that I will be consistent. But the fact that he stood out there and made accusations about me that wasn't true, I'm absolutely going to be 100% more in tune to that than something else that starts on topic and veers off.
So then the next time Ms. Washburn comes in and just comes after me randomly for stuff
I
not
will,
associated with the
and
agenda,
I've
that
done the
you'll
same
stand-
thing with
you'll-
Mr.
you're
Holcraft
gonna
with
do
Brad.
that, right? So,
When Mr. Holcraft was off topic with you, Brad, and I told him that it was inappropriate what he was doing, I spoke up. So, but certainly, you're going to be heightened on the situation when someone's coming after you off topic. I was certainly heightened when he was coming after me. And the fact that he has 3 to 4 inches in a folder of open meeting law violations, Beth, I think it's relevant. This man doesn't quit. There's an issue. As long as we've been taking and keeping records regarding open meeting law violations, we have never accumulated in 30, 50 years of open meeting law violations as this man has done in the last 18 months. Have you seen how thick the binder is in Mike Siri's office regarding the open meeting law violations that this man has done? And not just to the select board. That's a problem, in my opinion.
well, and I guess the question is, right? Sounds like we've got a couple of different ways to look at that, and I think we got to be a little bit careful about it, okay? Is that, one, citizens' right to do it.
That's his right. He has every right, and I'm not faulting him for doing it.
and-
I'm pointing out what he's doing, though.
Right, and two, and I guess the question would be, right? Is it that they're frivolous, or do we have a learning opportunity on how we're conducting business?
There have been many things that I've learned about this select board in the last 6 or 8 months that I didn't learn 30 years ago when I did it for 3 years.
Right,
So I will concede to that.
okay.
But I
So-
also say, again, I'm going to repeat, that it's much more heightened to talk about staying on task when you're the person that's being attacked. So if you had brought up about past Washburn, it would have come off you a lot quicker, right, than when Mr. Kelleher's attacking me personally. So I'll concede to that.
So, yeah, so, because the last time,
Seconds left, can I speak?
I'll let them finish first. I'll give you the
I'm
8
just-
seconds because
so
I had
just-
probably
I just-
30
I just
seconds.
I just want to make sure that we're going to be consistent.
You will
That's all.
see consistency from me,
Okay,
absolutely.
all right.
Go ahead, Chris.
Was everybody yes?
Yes.
Okay, so I'd just like to point out real quick that these open meeting law complaints are not about me being off topic, it's about Mr. Chafee interrupting right before I started speaking. And for clarification, the last time I spoke, when you told me to be muted, you and Washburn were talking off topic, you, Mr. Chafee, were off topic yourself, not me. How can I be off topic if I'm just starting to speak?
I'm done. Yeah. I don't really care to respond to him anymore.
Do we have to make a vote to,
Yes, because
I'll make a motion to authorize you to send this out unless Mr. Chafee wants to make some edits to it since it's mostly pertinent to him.
So I'll second your motion but for discussion.
Okay.
So again, Ron, first of all, Beth, you were going to make motions to that, or changes to that? You were going to make changes to that and you're going to send it to Ron? Did that ever happen?
No,
No.
I thought he made the edits right as you were stating it.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact,
I made some recommendations and he was gonna
It was
do
my
edits.
understanding that when we left the meeting, you were going to make some changes, you took it, you were going to get it back to Ron. And I asked Ron, did Beth ever make those last week? And you said not at that time.
yeah, in fact, what I did, the board, there was, I guess,
I don't recall that way.
some question with regards to a sentence or two, and I was requested to have KP Law take a look at it, see if,
I did ask you to have
yes,
KP.
yep, see if those, that sentence or
Actually, I think that's
two.
what we discussed in the open meeting, was that KP needed to review it because that language had a high potential to leave us open to some mess.
Correct. there
That was
concern.
my discussion, but I could be wrong, Beth, but I thought you were going to take it, review it, make some changes
No, I
and
didn't,
get it to
I didn't
Ron?
think so.
I wasn't gonna
think-
touch that with a
I-
10-foot
I
pole.
thought he was making notes to something she was saying.
Yeah,
I mean, that
Maybe it
was
was something different, but I'll
him-
check-
I
I'll
warned
check
him-
on that.
I warned him, I warned him about which lines that I thought they needed to look at. You can go watch the video,
Yeah.
but I don't recall taking that as an action. What I recall taking as an action was that I had said that I had to push at least a month when we were gonna get a draft of the capital plan together, and that's the only due out that I have back to the board that I'm aware of.
I'll just check, because I could be wrong. So, in writing this, Ron, again, you wrote it, you read it that night. I asked you again if you had an opportunity to check with town council. You said you did. She said because of the way it is. So if it was done by you and okayed by town council, I'm good with it.
Yes, the town council had no reservations as it was written. I specifically pointed out the areas that where there was some concern that was raised, and town council had no concern.
Okay. For a vote.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Acknowledge fire department reports for November and December, and there's also some notes in there. I'd like to thank firefighter Hurley and Crawford, as firefighter Hurley on 11/1 hit 3 years with the Brookfield Fire Department, and firefighter Crawford hit 2 years on 12/1.
I agree. I think we
Thank
should
you
all
for the
thank you.
service.
Yep, thanks for your service.
Lots of fires, brush.
A lot of brush fires.
Certainly more activity than I realized.
They've had a lot of activity this year. I also like the comments.
You like the comments?
Man versus machine.
Yeah, yeah. Dispatch has got a somewhat interesting sense of humor. Which also makes you wonder because of the fact that shouldn't it be machine versus man?
Right.
It's kind of like when a deer runs into the side of your vehicle instead of you hitting it.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Oh, unless, sorry, Doug,
No,
I didn't
yeah.
realize you were still going through that.
Oh, no, that's fine. I was just flipping through, just looking to see if there was anything else worthy of comment, so. I didn't realize we had had an ice rescue, though I remember seeing the van. I remember seeing it going out, and I thought they were doing training. I didn't realize it was
Oh.
an actual ice rescue.
Yeah, I didn't. Is that what it says?
Yep. Oh, no, it is rescue training.
Yeah, okay.
It looked more
I was like, I don't
training-ish.
remember hearing anything
I was
about
gonna say, it
that.
looked more training-ish than it did ice rescue, and it's like, oh, yeah, it is rescue training. Got it. So, nope,
All right. Second,
second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Only
Aye.
motion, aye. It's the only motion that does not get
I just-
discussion.
I
You
just like
saying
doing
it. I know, and I like it, and I like correcting you on it. That's all.
Maybe someone doesn't want us to quit.
I'm going to threaten to start making motions to move questions.